All right, sorry about that. And we were talking about Sean Petty before I got interrupted. Marshall, they picked Sean Petty, the wide receiver, 3482. Um, I actually like this pick for them, despite the fact that they moved their star running back Ferguson out to the outside. They really only had one weapon on the outside last year. Um, And so adding Ferguson gives them, two solid wide receiver options. Now with Petty, they can overcome an injury. They can run a little bit more 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. I think it just gives them a little bit more options and more versatility. Definitely a lot more athleticism. He's an 84 speed, got good ball carry with 86 potential. Great route running with a 90 and a great 86 pass catching potential. He's only a 38 vol, so he's definitely a safe player. Um, I don't think he would transition well to running back due to his low fumble. He's only a 65 potential on fumbling, and so I think he's more of an outside guy. So if anything, Ferguson can maybe go back to running back at some point if they need to fill back in for running back. But I do like this pick, even though I'm not sure if Marshall's too happy about it. I think he'll fit in well with that squad. I mean, up and coming squad with a young quarterback. And that brings us to the next team, which is Arizona. And they picked at number 28, and they took running back Jerome Coleman. Here's a player that slipped in the draft. He was definitely primed to go higher. Some people had him in the top 15. I really liked Coleman. With his low volatility of 34, he's got good speed, 87, good acceleration, 87, strength, good courage, and route running, good fumble, good ball carry, and decent break tackle. So he's an all-around player. Could play wide receiver or running back. The only problem with him is he's a little bit overweight, especially if you wanted to move him to receiver. He's 232 pounds, so I'm not quite sure if he has the frame to drop all the way down to under 200 pounds to be a viable wide receiver. But he should be able to get down to a normal running back weight and be solid there. This is more of a value pick for Arizona, as they didn't really need a running back as much as they needed some other positions. I think they just saw him as too good to pass up, and they stopped the free fall for Coleman. So I do like this pick. We'll see how his weight goes, because that'll determine a lot about this player. Because if he does lose weight, his speed will go up dramatically, and he'll be a really all-around good player. Good pick, Jerome Coleman, running back, Arizona. And then we got Clemson. And here's a team that had a lot of offensive firepower. And so I think they were looking to the other side of the ball to try to balance out their team, maybe get some pressure on quarterbacks, as they saw some really high-scoring games where their defense just gave up a lot of yards, especially in the, the Orange Bowl, where they played Tennessee, and it was a shootout, and their defense could not stop Tennessee's offense. And so they went with right defensive end Gordon Lopez. He's a 30-79 overall base weights. Looks like a solid defensive end. Across the board, he's got 77 speed, which is not elite, but it's good. 77 strength to go with that. So, like I said, he's not an elite type of player, but he's definitely got really good skills. I mean, his pass rush is 84 potentially, his run defense is 90 potentially, and he's got 72 potential tackle. And so you're looking at a guy that will fill all the boxes as far as he could be good in every category, as long as he doesn't go down too much in training camp. He's a 54 volatility, so that's right in the middle. I've had some bad luck with the mid vol, so this will be interesting to see how he does. But if he pans out and he starts going up, I think he'll be a productive player for Clemson. So you need pass rushers in the ACC. It's a really good tough conference, so I think this is a solid pick for Clemson in the first round of Gordon Lopez, defensive end. And that brings us next to UCLA, who's got a new owner this year. Team that went all the way to the Rose Bowl last year, had the Heisman Trophy winner and runner-up. UCLA had some. They basically drafted mostly offense in the allocation draft. So I think, despite there being some really good offensive players still on the board, including wide receivers, the new owner, Otterpop, I think he held back the urge to take one of the higher players, riskier players on offense, and went with the safe bet and went defense and try to build from the trenches. And he went with a defensive tackle, John Stillings, and Stillings is a 38-82 base weights, so he's basically a run plugging type of defensive tackle. He doesn't have that great of speed. He's got solid strength with 79. Good, really awesome tackle with 85-90 just to start. So he's going to be a sure tackler right off the get-go. And his pass rush is tops out at 92 and 85. And so his volatility is only 24. So he's probably going to reach those future potentials. So you're looking at a player that is going to be really good tackler, really good at pass rush, and really good at run defense. While he doesn't have the best physical traits as far as strength and speed, he'll definitely have the skills. So he'll be a productive player. He might not be an elite player, but I do think he's a good start for a defense that needed some talent, especially youth, because UCLA is one of the more aging teams in the league. They lost 7 players to graduation, and so I think Stillings is a safe pick for them, and checks off one of the boxes that they needed to get checked. And that's John Stillings, defensive tackle, UCLA. Next up is my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. There was some interesting players on the board here, and I decided that linebacker was a position that I really wanted going into this draft. And looking at the linebacker class, I wasn't that impressed with a lot of the linebackers. And so when I saw Simon fall, I was getting excited just because he was one of the guys I had put at the top of my board pre-draft that I thought had a chance to get to me at 31, but I didn't really expect him to get to me. And so when he was on the board, I didn't even flinch to select him. He's a base weight. His base weight is 32.77. So he can play any linebacker position. He's got maxed out speed for his size. Good strength with 77 and acceleration 78. So he's going to be able to fly sideline to sideline with strength. His run defense is elite level, 95 with the max. And so I like the fact that he's going to be able to help my run game, especially since I'm going to start him out at strong side linebacker to start. I don't ask my strong side linebacker to do a lot of man coverage, so I wasn't too worried about his 70 max on man-to-man coverage. But I do ask him to do a lot of zone coverage, and he starts off at 70 with a 96 max. And so I really am excited about that part. What I was concerned about, though, is his tackling isn't up to par yet. He's only got a 62 max. So that's one aspect that might hurt him in the long run. But the way I look at it is I have so many playmakers on defense. They're going to fly to the ball in groups, and if one person misses a tackle, then hopefully another guy will be there to pick up the slack. And so it doesn't really necessarily kill him in my books. His volatility is only 28, which I was excited about because, coming in the first round, you don't want to have your pick go down. So it'd be nice if he, even just stays where he's at. So I'm really excited about Shane Simon. He could be a good playmaker for me, especially in a linebacker crew that is really athletic, and I just needed a little bit more depth there. And so that's my pick for Notre Dame, Shane Simon. Next up and last pick of the first round is Tennessee's, and Tennessee had a little same type of options as Notre Dame, and they were in the similar mold where they have playmakers on offense, so they didn't necessarily need to draft wide receivers or running backs. So they wanted to shore up the defense just like Notre Dame, and they decided to take defensive end M.M. Jackson. And this is a player I really had high on my board. All around type of defensive end. Let's see what his base. He's a 32.73. So while most people will see his 32.73 on base weights and say maybe this is a reach in the first round, but my weights, he's a lot higher than that. And he has maxed out speed for his size, good acceleration 72, good strength 80 for a defensive end. His pass rush maxes out at 91 and his run defense 76. and he's only a volatility of 4. So you know you're going to get what his future ratings are. Just like my pick, his tackle isn't as high as you would like. It maxes out at 66, but I've seen a lot of defensive ends have success with not great tackle, but that definitely is a detriment. But I really like Jackson. I think he's going to be a solid player. I think in that defense he's going to put up some good numbers. I think he'll be a double-digit sack guy from the get-go. And to be able to get a talent like that at number 32 for the national champion, it's a pretty good position. Yeah, and that's basically all the picks. I think it was a good first round. While some people might say that the drafts are a lot less than they used to be, I kind of like it because that means that guys are going to come in, and it might take a couple years before they become superstars, especially late first rounders and second rounders. But you have to take into account in the NFL, there's not that many rookies that come in and just take the league by storm, and so I kind of like the way it is. You have to really get your guys up to par and train them well, and then once they get to a level, then they can start producing on the field. Instead of guys coming in and being the best players on their teams right from the get-go, how it used to be in a lot of teams, you're going to have to do a lot of training and work, and you're going to have to see a lot of guys mature before they can produce at the level that some of the other guys might do. And that's the first round. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys later. All right.